going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Hugh O'Bryan, and I will be one of your hosts for the rest of the year.
My name is Izzy Gorsuch, and I'll be your other host for the rest of the year.
We have two wonderful guests with us today.
My name is Alex Scher. I'm from East High School. I'm a guest.
Hello, my name is Z. Evan David Connor Long, and I'm a senior at Denver School of the Arts, and I am a guest today.
Today we're going to be talking about secrets and scandals. And so our first question today sort of relates about how many students have secrets that they have to keep from their friends or their family or whatever. Is it good to keep those secrets, or should they be more open about it? What do you guys think?
Well, I think that nowadays with social media, everything gets public one way or another, intentionally or not intentionally. And if you think about it, I've always thought of it as there's a spectrum. There's obviously a necessity of having secrets, and there's obviously a necessity of having social norms being upheld and people following and conforming to society. You need both those things, but where in the middle is the proper balance? We don't know. Nobody knows. Okay, I mean, maybe someone knows. But nowadays with social media, the point of where things have been secret has been pushed way out towards. It's all public. It's all out there, and people are kind of getting a little hectic. And I think if it actually got pushed a little bit back towards conformity, towards having some more secrets and keeping it less public, that would actually be for the benefit of everybody.
Do you think that there are any good secrets to keep?
I mean, I don't think you can judge what secret is good and what's not good to keep. But people can't be honest all the time. That would be madness, okay? I mean, you gotta lie, And we don't want people to lie all the time. And some lies are better than others. I mean, white lies are great. Sometimes just saving people's face and just being polite, that's a form of lying, but you got to have that. But then, I mean, at a bigger level, if you're lying about yourself, if you're completely dishonest with your identity and you just do things that you don't feel connected to, you do things that you think are wrong, or if some people go to school every day and they just don't care, they're miserable. And so there's certain lies that are okay. There's certain lies that aren't okay.
What do you think about that, Z?
I think that it depends. Like, for example, if you're like a political leader and you heard that there's a missile headed right towards the capital of your country, and you have to tell the people, that are in that city, and like you need to tell them, should you? If there was like a huge meteor heading towards the entire United States right now, should we tell everybody, or should we send people into, mass hysteria, or just keep it secret?
What do you think about like celebrities or people in the public eye constantly, having their secrets and their gossip constantly exposed?
Yeah, I think that, like Alex said, I think social media has definitely exacerbated this sort of issue of forced transparency. If you're in the public eye, if you're a celebrity, then it definitely, I think, started with this sort of culture of celebrity where we have gossip magazines and articles constantly being written and paparazzo just following around people and documenting their everyday life. When in reality, we have to remember that these are people and they lead normal, relatively normal lives, besides the obvious nature of their celebrity. But when we sort of see these things completely out of context, even if we hear somebody say something or see pictures of somebody doing something out of their sort of level of celebrity, if they catch a celebrity eating lunch somewhere or whatever, there are always these things. And there's something about this that people don't like. And people take these things out of context, and even if you have like an hour of conversation within a single comment that people don't like, you still don't have the context of somebody's entire life. You can have a large context, but once you know somebody, then you have a particular context to say that while this person is a celebrity and while this person has this sort of cult of personality, that there's still people, and they have their own contexts of being people that's outside of the context of being a celebrity.
That's an interesting point. Like how we've created our own visions of what celebrities are like, and then those people sort of have to conform to that vision that the public creates and sort of be someone who they're not, and develop relationships and ideas about someone who they aren't. Do you think that's a problem? Do you think celebrities that we look up to should act more like themselves or more like the public wants?
Well, I think that people should just do them. I really believe that. Now, of course, you have to have discretion, of course. But I think the question you should be asking is, why are people nowadays, why do they look up? Why do they take people, just human beings, like you or me or whomever, right? And they make them larger than life. Celebrities, we've raised them to, above everybody else. And they're just people, as you said. But why are people doing that? Now, I'd bet money that it's because they are projecting their own issues and they are not taking control of their lives, and so they just get lost in the lives of other people. They try and take control of their lives. And so everybody is trying to, have the spotlight be something that people need to live towards or live up to. Celebrities need to have a facade that never breaks. And then when it does break, they're like, oh my gosh, this celebrity is fallible, right? And that's not good, but it's just kind of a product of a bigger issue, which is people dissociating from their own lives.
So how do we fix that issue?
I think if people turned off their phones every once in a while, that'd be good.
Is that something the other two, you two agree with?
I think that you're right when you say that, or when you imply that people tend to worship things like celebrities, and people tend to worship things like technology, and that just comes from a general human sense of hubris and entitlement, where we've developed beyond our own sort of way of attaching ourselves to the tangible and to the literal world, and we've sort of ascended into this sort of metaphysical plane of existence where we tend to worship things and see things with more significance than they actually have. So what's a phone? A phone is a piece of plastic, a piece of metal. A book is a bunch of dead trees. Why do we attach ourselves to these things? Because we're just human, and we have these amazing things called developed brains, where we have developed so far that to detriment and to a gain, we have gotten the ability to say that this is not just a piece of plastic and glass. This serves a purpose for the greater betterment of humanity, and we can actually look up information on this thing. And it's just interesting that, well, that's incredible that can also get out of hand, where people sort of ascribe to a significance of insignificant things.
Yeah.
Do you think that people kind of create like second identities through this social media lens? And you might be one way in person, but you might be something different on your Instagram or your Snapchat?
Yeah, that's a form of lying right there. See, when people have multiple identities, identity is a weird thing, right? So this is something I learned the other day. This is very weird. All right, so people actually feel like different individuals depending on the language they speak. Like, me speaking English is different than me speaking Spanish. I feel like two different people, because just articulating things in different languages gets into your thoughts, and it gets into our ideas of ourselves. Now, once you start having the you that you are to the people around you in real life versus the you that you are on social media, you're split. And that doesn't do you any favors. And I think we're seeing that happen a lot more. People have one identity in real life, and they have a whole other identity online. And people are torn, and they're angry.
That's
unconsciously. Somewhat consciously. You see it though.
Yeah, that's a good point. I read an article a couple of months ago that interviewed these Instagram celebrities. I don't know specifically what their tag is or who they were, but they said that they are paid by a bunch of different travel companies to go to all these incredible places and then do a photo shoot, post it on their Instagram. But they said that every other day of the month they're on a plane for 9 or 10 hours and they never really have a chance to be who they actually are. They're
Right.
just forced into this Instagram model that they've created for themselves essentially. But they're earning popularity, they're earning money, they're earning influence. Do you think that's a worthy trade-off?
Yeah, it depends on who. I mean, some people, oh yeah, they'll do anything for gains.
Depends on the money.
Depends on the money. What do you think, Izzy?
You know, I think it really depends. I think a lot of it has to do with trust. These people have kind of created this new identity, and people look up to them in that spotlight, so to say. But we trust them to stay there in that spotlight. We don't really want our Instagram models, our bikini models, to come back and, you know, not go to Bali and not go to these really cool places. I think a lot of it has to do with like our trust and our own identities that we've projected onto them.
Should it be a bad thing if that gets out? Because that's sort of the origin of a scandal. Is that bad? Could that be good?
I mean, okay, lies are like an inevitable consequence of just being people. I mean, people are just gonna lie. That's how it is. That's how it's always.
Do you think that's
been.
human nature?
That's absolutely human nature. It's
Okay.
It's it's just one with us. Okay. Now scandals, on the other hand, I also think that's human nature to an extent. I mean, like when you see like like Watergate, right? That's like, okay, that was like a huge scandal, and people were like, oh my gosh, the government's doing things that we don't know they're doing. But it's kind of inevitable, or there's always going to be a lean towards corruption when you have more and more power, and that's going to lead to scandals. It's just so when you take lies with power, you get corruption, and that's inevitable.
That's interesting, because like when I think about lies and when I think about power, I think that these things are definitely both inextricably tied to humans. But what about other animals? Like a hippopotamus doesn't lie. An ant has no concept of lying. Humans have developed to a point where we have a concept of lying about things. That's crazy. We have developed past a point of mere survival, where we just have the bottom of Maslow's pyramid, which is survival. We've gone up Maslow's pyramid until we've gotten to the top, which is self-actualization. What is self-actualization? Well, once you get to a hierarchy, crustaceans have hierarchies. Ants have hierarchies. Bees have hierarchies. This is natural in animals to develop a sort of innate hierarchy that is driven into organisms' brains. But once you get that ability to lie and the ability to establish a hierarchy, that's where you get corruption, but that's also where you get lots of good. So how do you balance that?
Well, I think it's interesting that you said we transcended survival. I don't buy that one bit. I don't think you can transcend survival. That's a law. No matter what's going on, lying, corruption, things going on in the world, good things, bad things, at the end of the day, we're either going to survive or we're not going to survive. And you can't escape that.
Is lying a part of social survival?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Nothing in this world is here without a reason. It's here because it is survived, or it is a product of something that has survived for a very, very long time.
So do you think lying is sort of a result of evolution?
Yeah, I think everything's a result of evolution.
Do you agree or no?
Everything.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I think a result of evolution in and of itself is the fact that we, not necessarily we don't have a drive to survive, but we've sort of established other priorities in a sense, where you hear about people, taking selfies and then falling off a cliff as they're watching their phone. That shows that, we have a lot of distractors that distract us from that sort of essence of survival.
Yeah. And lying, actually, it's funny that we talk about lying right now, because one of at least our young Americans' biggest ideas about lying is sort of wearing a costume. Like they sort of, that's Halloween, right? You wear a costume, you become somebody else, right?
You get to pick a new identity.
And that, you pick a new identity. And that actually brings us to a good stopping point for right now, as we do our Halloween holiday special.
Learn what you love what you learn. Graduate debt-free from a certified program in health science, design, trades, or administration in less than a year. Opportunity comes from possibility. Come see what's possible.
Hi, and welcome back to MileHighDiscussions. I think we're going to kind of pick up where we left off, and not necessarily continue talking about lying, but maybe more about gossip, and how gossip is kind of an intricate part of high school life and high schoolers, as you both
how gossip
probably
is
know.
also sort of a form of lying.
Yeah.
I don't think gossip is a form of lying. I think it's something more than that. It's like there's a lie, or there's maybe a truth. You know, there's information. We don't know if it's true or not yet. And then people naturally just want to spread it. Ideas spread through us like disease, like light bounces around the room. It's just ideas are just, and gossip is just those ideas that carry something mysterious about it.
Why do you think high schoolers in particular feel that need to spread it?
Oh my God, hormones, for sure. Oh yeah, hormones. Oh. High school is just this really bizarre environment. I mean, everything's a bizarre environment, but like high school, I mean, kids care, high school students, not kids. High school students care so much about the small things that are going on right in front of them. I mean, that's their life. And so things that, you know, when you take people taking things so seriously, and all these hormones, all this anxiety, and you mix that up, you just kind of get people saying things about each other all the time. And that's how it is. I don't think it's a good or bad thing. It's how it be. It'd be like that.
Why do you think?
I think that gossip is definitely sort of a type of social survival where we definitely try to crave these things as a means of becoming less socially inept and more feeling like we can actually fit in with the group when we are not the ones being gossiped about. And that's inevitably the truth, because you've never been in a conversation where they've been gossiping about you and you've been just like looking right at them.
Right.
It's always about somebody that's not present, and it's always usually about somebody that's not in any social circles or that's been expelled from said social circle. And it's a means of gathering people together in an environment while sort of separating other people. And that's, I think, also an instinct of sort of tribalization, where you get people in tribes and you trust these people, even though they may turn on you at any moment and they might be gossiping about you when you're outside of the room. So how safe and secure is that tribal mentality? We don't know. But while you're in that room, you have a sense of security that you're part of the clan.
Yeah. What do you think the difference is between like a fun, kind of meaningless gossip versus like a dangerous gossip?
I don't think it's any place for anybody to say what's dangerous and what's not dangerous. You let the results of it decide. If stuff happens,
So the ends
horrible
justify the
things,
means?
No. You gotta let things play out.
Can gossip ever be good, or is it always going to destroy someone?
Well, I don't know what you mean by good. I mean, there's a necessity to it.
Why
Yeah.
is it necessary?
Because, I mean, it's how ideas go around. I mean, we got to tell each other other things, and we have little to nothing figured out. Or we have a lot figured out. But there's a lot that we haven't figured out yet. And so we're all speculating all the time, just as people. And so when we have these ideas that go around, some of them are going to be controversial. Some of them are going to conflict with other ideas. And that is gossip, just that spreading around of ideas, which is absolutely inevitable. It's how it is.
And do you think that style of spreading ideas is reserved for high schoolers or college kids or younger, or could it be anyone of any age anywhere?
It's everywhere. That's a worldwide thing. That is universal. You're going to see ideas flown around, and some of them are going to be considered gossip. Because
So do you think that, I think we've sort of talked about how gossip sort of becomes like real and sort of takes off in high school, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like kids trying to figure out how to deal with it, and then it sort of dies down for the rest of their life, and they still have to deal with it, but
Yeah.
do you think that's
sort of. I
That's
mean,
sort of a
I
reason
think
about
that
it?
well, adults certainly have more of a filter. They certainly feel less compulsed to do dumb things more than younger people. Because younger
Yeah.
people, they're feeling themselves. I mean, they're figuring things out. They're feeling out the world. Okay, and so part of that is like just you got to ask yourself like, hey, maybe I should just spread some malicious rumors and see what happens. You know, that's going to happen. High schoolers are going to do that. Some high schoolers are going to do that. But more adults are going to be like, okay, you know, that doesn't help anybody. I'm not going to do that. I've either run the experiment in the past or I don't feel compelled to do that.
Right.
But
Well, how do you guys personally react when you're either hearing gossip or have the urge to tell gossip?
I mean, I don't feel the urge to talk about things that I don't believe or I never spread things that I know are fake. I don't just say things about people behind their back. I think that's a little immoral. But I mean, I'm a person. If people say things about me that are just outlandish, I'll be like, that's not good. I don't like that one bit.
What
But
about hearing things about other people?
when you hear things about other people, I mean, I don't, you know, I usually think I shouldn't involve myself in such things. I never take a stand or.
What about you?
If it's about me, I'll have none of it.
Okay.
It's about somebody else, fair game. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke. Yeah, I try not to partake in those things because usually these things don't really come from any sort of genuine concern for somebody's well-being or somebody's state, where you say, oh my God, that guy crashed his car last night. I'm like, shouldn't you feel bad for him? You know? I think it's sort of a barrier to empathy in that way. But also, would you be talking about how this guy crashed his car if he didn't crash his car? And you started gossiping about it? Or is gossiping a sense of communication in itself, whether or not it's positive or negative? And do we need any sort of communication, positive or negative, preferable to none at all? I don't know.
Isn't there also like an entertainment value to it though?
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, people love
Sort
to
of
just
a
hear
seedy,
gossip and spread
very-
gossip.
Right.
Very lurid sensibility where you get people interested by having this sort of sensationalism.
Yeah.
Do you think that the building up of gossip, especially in celebrity circles nowadays, could be the reason that scandals are so like huge? Like there are a bunch of magazines and like articles and opinions that are all about celebrity gossip, and millions of people read them every single week. And do you think that could sort of be creating while it's not a completely artificial scenario, when like a scandal does break out, could that sort of exacerbate the problems?
Well, that's sort of vicarious, isn't it? Where you have people living through other celebrities and living vicariously through these people's drama and struggles and who divorced whom and who's got the settlement for the kids, and it's all so interesting. But, you know, you don't really have to face the reality of it when you are reading about it in a gossip magazine. It's sort of a release in a way, where you get that sort of craving for sensationalism and that craving for living vicariously through somebody else and getting to experience somebody's shocking and outrageous lifestyle without actually living the shocking and outrageous lifestyle.
Do you think that, sorry.
No, go for it, yeah.
Do you think that like being excited for somebody else's misery is like a real phenomenon? Is that what
Oh,
you're saying?
yeah. Oh, people love to watch other people in pain.
Why?
We all got
why?
some narcissist in us. You might not be aware of it, but everyone's got something in them that's like, wow, I'm doing better than that guy. I mean, I'm okay now. You know, sometimes we gotta not take ourselves so seriously. We can easily, this is a beautiful thing about humans. We can just get lost in other people's lives, okay? That's why we love celebrities. And, you know, when people have scandals and, stuff is obviously that the people involved aren't enjoying, it's very entertaining to other people to watch. I mean, you can say, oh yeah, that's not good, I should feel bad for them. But part of you is like, I'm not dealing with that, they are.
But usually that's associated with sort of like a reward or something. Like if someone does worse than I do, therefore I am doing better than they are, and that's sort of my reward for liking their destruction. But when a celebrity is faced with a scandal, or it comes out that they've done a really terrible thing, do you really become like, are you really doing better than that celebrity because you haven't
feel
had
like it.
massive scandal?
I mean, you feel like it. You're like, I'm not dealing with that. That person, everyone hates that person, but I'm chilling. I'm doing okay.
What do you think, Steve?
For the minute.
Yeah, that's sort of, I suppose that's a way of just competition between people, because people just generally need to compete, and that's just a psychological thing, where we feel like in order to do better for ourselves, we have to win. Well, what's winning? If somebody wins, then somebody has to lose. If there's good, there has to be evil. This is like a yin-yang thing. If there's a winner, there has to be a loser. You can't have everybody be winners. So then you have to pick out who's the loser.
Right.
Well, it sucks for you if you are one, you know?
Wait, what does that have to do with scandals? Like, I lost you. Winners and losers. How is like a scandal?
So that's just,
a
I
winner
think
and a
that just
loser?
breeds competition. And competition invests itself into social environments where you say that this person is doing far worse than me. And this person, that's sort of more of a gossip thing, where you sort of feel better about yourself, which is, you can construe that that's a narcissistic tendency, but also it's a narcissistic tendency that comes for a huge desire for the benefit of ourselves, where we feel so insecure, where people do not feel secure in their abilities to succeed, or their ability to become a better person, and their ability to be happy, then they have to convince themselves that other people are doing worse, so they can better themselves in their own mind, and they can make themselves feel more secure.
Yep.
Well, what then do you think is like the high road? Like what do you think you should do in these types of situations?
That's a good question.
Like what's the correct
Is
path?
it good to follow like the group mentality of, yeah, that person did something terrible, so I'm already doing better than them? Or should you, and there comes a risk to this, moving away from the group mentality and thinking,
Right.
well, this person did do something terrible, that doesn't mean I'm a good person because they did something terrible.
Right.
Yeah, I think that people sort of stacking other people into a sort of bilateral, nexus of quantifying somebody's value, I think that's kind of ridiculous, because we're all really unique people and we're all special in our own ways, and following this sort of group mentality is detrimental to viewing ourselves as individuals, where taking the high road, as you said, I think taking the high road is viewing people as separate individuals and viewing yourself as your own individual. And
Right.
an individual may make mistakes, and an individual may do very good things and be very selfish at times, be very selfless. They can be both. But in the end of the day, we're all sort of trying to get what we need from ourselves, and everybody is sort of judging each other for what we have to get to survive for ourselves, and everybody has different needs. So the group mentality sort of feeds into this idea that people have the same needs and people have the sort of same means for bettering their own lives and bettering other people's lives. And that's just the psychological thing that we do that isn't necessarily good, because we need to categorize things, and we need to put that on the bilateral Cartesian plane, so where we can place people and
Right.
quantify everything. It's all about quantifying. But how much quantifying should we do rather than qualifying, and valuing a person for their own individuality rather than what the group deems them to be.
That's a really interesting point. How the high road is usually what you personally think rather than what the group thinks. But that does wrap up our show today. Thank you so much for watching. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, do
Anybody?
you guys have any final thoughts about
Yeah.
Scandal?
I think we covered a lot, and I'll leave it where it's left off.
Okay, what about you? No?
Gotta love a good scandal.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Apparently, everyone loves a good
Apparently,
scandal. So, yeah. So anyways, we hope you guys have a really happy Halloween.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much. And have a fantastic day.
Yep.